Stone Cold Steve Austin for 1-800-COLLECT.
I'm not talking to you. What did I do? You're so insensitive. Dial 0 when you called me last night. Should have dialed 1-800-COLLECT. Would have saved me a bundle. How do you think it makes me feel?
Next time I use 1-800-COLLECT, I didn't mean to hurt you.
Me neither. Dial 1-800-COLLECT or else.
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Devontae, and I sacrifice my time so you don't have to. Let's just get directly into this, because you can clearly tell that if this is actually true, going off of what Sean Ross Sapp is stating right now at the moment, then Tony Khan is pissed. But check it out, though. Sources within AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling told Fightful Select they expect protections to be put in place moving forward to prevent talent from immediately jumping to WWE after working AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling shows after the Stephanie Vaquer signing. So, if you don't know, which I'm pretty sure the majority of you do know, obviously, especially if you're following this channel, that Stephanie Vaquer had a match with Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, at the Forbidden Door show earlier this year, like back in June. And, essentially, she used that notoriety. Well, and in reality, I don't even think she necessarily used that notoriety per se, right, to jump to WWE. I think WWE were already actively scouting her out for the most part. And then, like, she had the match with Mercedes, and then they were like, oh shit, we like her. And then they picked her up. Stephanie, I don't believe Stephanie was looking to be signed by WWE. They came to her. She didn't come to them. And then when they made the opportunity, Stephanie was like, oh shit, you guys want me? Oh fuck it, let's go then, let's ride. That's essentially how it went. But the way it's worded, it kind of makes it sound like Stephanie used this as a springboard in order to go to WWE, and she completely played Tony Khan for a fool. Which is not the case at all. At least not how I'm looking at it and how I'm reading articles and whatever. But mind you, just kind of like to, you know, collaborate with this idea a little bit also. Something tells me, now, obviously I have no proof. This is absolutely unsubstantiated. This is just coming from my own mind, okay? I do remember, like, I want to say like a week or two ago, Sasha Banks making a comment about Stephanie and how it was her. And maybe she could be in character. Or it could be a situation where Tony Khan told her to go say that, because that's personally what I believe. It wouldn't be the first time we've heard situations like this. Go look at Edge when he came out to praise the ever-loving hell out of AEW. If you guys remember that, after the whole CM Punk debacle, right? So I wouldn't put it past Sasha Banks or Tony Khan to tell Sasha to go out there to make these comments, where she essentially goes out there and she's like, well, WWE only picked up Stephanie because they seen our match, and it was mainly me who put her over. Sure, Mercedes, sure. Like I said, if it's a character thing, I guess, whatever. That seems hella random. I mean, whatever. But I more so believe Tony Khan told you to go out there and to go say that. But nevertheless, though, there's a couple of things about this that I want to talk about. First and foremost, let's talk about the utter hypocrisy, right? The hypocrisy behind all this. Now, how many times have we heard Tony Khan say that you can go out there and how we're going to be independent friendly? You know, you guys can go out there and sign your contracts. You can still wrestle for these companies and wrestle for these companies and wrestle for these companies. Now, mind you, I'm not the kind of person to see what Tony Khan is saying right here and say to myself, he's wrong. No, that's an edict that you have to absolutely do. Like, no, like you can't just have your company or your talent going to active competition. That's stupid. Why would you want that to happen? But that's not the mindset that Tony Khan was expressing initially. That's the problem that I have. I don't have a problem with the idea. I have the problem with the execution. Right? It's like the whole thing where he was saying that he wanted to release all these talents because essentially they did nothing for him. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that idea. I'm perfectly fine. I get the idea. Release talent who aren't doing anything for your bottom line. But that's not what you expressed initially. You came out and you said that you were going to be the complete opposite from WWE and you weren't going to release talent like that. That was you who said that. You went back. He goes back on so many things, bruh. So many things. What was the thing? I put it in the intro of the video, one of my videos, with the Fightful thing, right? Or not Fightful, excuse me, when he was talking to Chris Van Vliet. And he made those comments about how, oh, well, this is like right before AEW went on television. And he was like, oh, well, we can't just sign every talent. You know, like, theoretically, I would like to have some of the best talents in the world, but at the same time, that's how WCW went out of business. You have to pick and choose. Yeah, I would like to have all the talent on my roster, but at the same time, I can't have all the talent on my roster. And then you go back on your word and you do that. Like, he keeps doing this. And this is what I mean. And even, you know, something that's not even that consequential, you know what I mean? Saying things like, oh, I want to start my company and I want to make it sports oriented. And we're going to have this Power 25 and we're going to do this and we're going to Yo, went back on your word on that also, bro. Your ideas are horrific, okay? You keep thinking that, hey, the way I run professional wrestling or the way I want to conduct my professional wrestling is going to be completely different from all the wrestling companies. And because I'm a billionaire, I can pull it off until you realize that there's no ROI on the dumb things that you want to implement in professional wrestling. And there's a reason why it wasn't implemented into professional wrestling. You know, this is why I see all the people all the time talk about, oh, you know, I want independent contractors to be considered employees without understanding the consequences of what comes from that. Like, yeah, that's I think everybody will want independent contractors to be employees. Yeah, why not? Obviously, there's benefits that come with that. Paid time off, you know, I will presume with WWE, for an example, stock options or, you know, health insurance, you know, all that stuff. Yes, obviously, we will want people to be W-2 formed employees. Why would no one want that? But you have to consider the consequences that comes for those things also. And that's the part, and that's really just society as a whole today. It's like they think you're a bad person because isn't this the obvious thing that everybody wants? Because of course, if we had this, everybody would be so much better off. Yeah, bro, I'm pretty sure if I can give everybody $1 million, I would love to give everybody $1 million. But there's a reason why I can't give everybody $1 million. Never mind the fact that I don't have $1 million. But also, like, where is that going to come from? What does that even mean in the grand scheme of things? As far as money is considered, like, they always think about the reward and never the consequences. And the same thing can be said about Tony Khan and him consistently making these ideas. You look at the Stephanie Fakir situation right here, and it's like, dude, you never thought to yourself to implement the strategy outright from the very, very beginning? Right? Like, you never thought to yourself, maybe I should put these things into practice at this very moment. So a situation like Stephanie taking off and going to WWE after using me like a pimp will use a hoe, like, golly gee willikers. But that's the problem. You're so focused on everything else within the ongoings of creative that it's like, I seriously have to, and look, I'm not trying to be a smart ass, or I'm not trying to be, you know, someone who, like an armchair quarterback or anything like that. You know, we're all commentary channels at the end of the day. We all have our opinions. But I do have a question, like a legitimate question to ask about Tony Khan. Like, what does he do as a businessman? Like, I get it. He restructured this whole deal with Warner Brothers Discovery and everything. Although there are a lot of things going into this that suggest that Warner Brothers Discovery has a piece, or they're in some way, somehow involved with the AEW process is currently going on at the moment, right? That the outlook for that is, well, that was going to be something super easy, right? It's not like having to construct something out of complete whole cloth, and it's, hey, how do you benefit me and how do I benefit you? Like how, for an example, anybody will have to go about this, right? Because I hear from people on the football side, and mind you, I know nothing about the Jacksonville Jaguars. I can only go off of what other people say, and I hear the comments about like the terrible, what would you say, amenities that these guys have to go through. I heard rumors, for an example, that they don't even have like actual facilities for families, like bathrooms for pregnant wives to change their, or for moms to change their children's clothes, or, you know, things like an actual babysitting room for people, like just normal things that you would have in any corporate business setting or whatever. They don't have. And then I look at this, right? I don't take that Warner Brothers Discovery thing seriously. They're in the pocket of Tony Khan, in my opinion. But like actual things that are ongoing at the more from a business standpoint, promotion wise, the most promotion you get out of AEW is the wrestlers telling you to check it out on their Twitter posts. Hell, if I had $1 for how many times I've heard people talk about, oh, like, unless it's like something like a really, really, really big show, like if it's Revolution, for an example, if it's Full Gear, for an example, if it's Double or Nothing, if it's All In, that's different. But for shows like Wrestle Dream or, you know, Forbidden Door, for an example, these or like shows like that, right? People forget they're even on. That's how bad of a promoter he is. He's horrible at this. He's just horrible. This is why I keep saying over and over again, maybe Buddy should go out of his way and just give somebody jobs. Like, give people jobs. Give people the ability to work with you on these things. Because, like, right now, you're getting pissed and you're getting angry. And I understand the frustration. I understand the anger. But it only happens and it's only constructed based off of the consequences dealt for your stupid practices. If you have somebody in place, if you weren't trying to be so headstrong and think to yourselves, for an example, well, I mean, what's the better idea? Actually get legitimate EVPs like currently in WWE, or even prior to that, you know, like you get people outside of the wrestling business, actual business people to do this job because it's a business? Or do I give it to a bunch of marks? Wrestlers. Can we just... He gave executive vice president privileges to fucking wrestlers. Do you know how wild that is? That is wild. Like, I can understand to a certain degree if your mindset is, let me train these guys for a couple of decades, you know, like Triple H, who's been trained and primed for that spot with Vince McMahon, if you listen to Triple H, going all the way back to like 1996. Like, Triple H has been primed for this spot before he got the spot for nearly 25 years, learning the business inside and out. Understand it from the side and the perspective of a wrestler and from the side and the perspective of a booker. Then he was giving something on a lower scale to not have any interaction with the main product in NXT to show what he can do. Then he was given the position. And this is after he completely transitioned from being a wrestler to a businessman. Not while actively still being a wrestler, having nothing of credentials to show from the position that you're currently in right now to go directly into that spot. It's wild. How is he the boss of anything? It's wild how this man brain thinks. It is wild when you really sit back and think about it. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't even be surprised, because I could be wrong about this, unless this has been completely changed and I'm just unaware of this. I could be wrong. Doesn't Kenny Omega run the women's division? Right? Like, for the most part, I could be wrong about this. If he doesn't run it right now, I would be hard pressed to not believe that he's not at least a consultant, right? How much you want to bet? And again, I have no corroboration with anything in regards to this, right? How much you want to bet whatever procedures that were put into place to bring someone like a Stephanie Vaquer in to do something like this was most likely directed, or at least helped directed, by a Kenny Omega. That's why the shit wasn't caught. Because you have a mark in a position to do this job. He's a wrestler with no formal business training. Of course, all he cares about in the end of the day is what matters in the ring, especially a guy like a Kenny Omega, for God's sakes. And then you ask yourself, what the hell is going on between the sheets in my home? Baby, wait, let me... Oh, shout out to the Isley brothers. Yo, real talk though, okay? I'm gonna end it with this. Tony, it feels like every video I make and every conversation that I have in regards to AEW, it always stems from just basic understanding and fundamentals. But like I said, in the end of the day, none of this matters. All right, none of this matters. There needs to be a complete revamp, a complete reconstruction of power, of positions in AEW. You can't get pissed at the wrestlers for taking advantage of what was put directly in front of them because you yourself didn't go out of your way to put anything into position to pretty much prevent this. You can't get mad at WWE for poaching your talent when you pretty much left it completely exposed. Whose fault is that? But then when you say things like this, the AEW faithful, they come crying down the hills with their torches and pitchforks and everything, and they get angry at you for just naming and notating and just focusing on the obvious blunders from this company. And you know, you're just a hater when you focus on things like that. You could just never focus on just the in-ring action. Don't divert your attention to here. We want you to focus on this. Well, stop looking over there. Look forward. Yeah, but stop looking. We're going to break your damn neck turning your head. Look forward. It's what the AEW faithful like to say. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below in regards to how you feel about this subject. Stephanie Vaquer pissing off Tony Khan and AEW getting mad at WWE for pretty much finessing their talent, even though they essentially just said to WWE, hey guys, we don't have our boat tied down with an anchor, and yeah, it's kind of floating out to sea, and we could go in the waters and we can grab that boat and bring it back and tie it down with an anchor, or we can go focus on these speedboats over here and you guys can go, you know, on board and grab it and tie it down with an anchor. Maybe, you know, trademark it and then, you know, do all these things that you usually do. Because we haven't really signed any paperwork to claim ownership. Yeah, we spent money on it, but we didn't really claim ownership yet. We were just paying rent. Why do you have our boat? Why are you tying it down with an anchor? What are those papers you're signing right now in the moment? Vince! Wait, he's no longer around to blame. Triple H! Wait, his name is Paul Levesque because he's not a mark wrestler. Paul! You can't make this up. As always, my name is Devontae, and I'll be catching you guys later. Deuces, P, Ice.